What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wingin podcast. I got with me Jack. How you doing, man?
Good. Hate moving. I hate moving. Y'all can't see the boxes behind me, but I hate moving.
Oh, well, could be worse. And Andre.
I'm doing great. That's all I can say. I'm doing great.
All right. So before we get into, I know y'all looking at the title, and we're gonna be talking about the main thing we're gonna be talking about today is the fighting genre. So that's why I call it the Fight Club. But before we get into the fighting genre, we have a couple things to talk about that happened last week. First, the first up is, and I didn't know this until I was looking around, and I'm like, there's an article that came out basically saying the Outriders developers have not received their royalties yet. And I wanted to get y'all thoughts on that.
Well, the only thing I saw on it when they were talking about it, it was like instantly, Game Pass is the devil. I'm like, okay, where does Game Pass fit into this? Yeah. Like, how did that work? How did that happen? You know, but I mean, did it at least express, or did they say at least why they didn't get said royalties?
Well, they haven't gone into detail about it, but
gotcha.
It's one of those situations where it's odd because you would think that you would get your royalties off your sales anyway.
Right.
And from what I understand, the sales weren't bad.
Right.
Of it. Now, let's not pretend like the game, I don't think the game did gangbusters like they was expecting.
No.
But I don't think it did bad as well. I'm trying to look and see what their sales actually were. But I just thought it was really weird that they did not get, because basically like not getting paid.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whose fault is that at that point?
Okay, so
Square.
Yeah. So basically, according to Forbes, the devs, they don't even know what the sales are, and that's one reason why they haven't been paid their royalty fees yet.
Wow.
So I don't think Square even released that. So I'm like, okay, ain't that against the law?
Kind of, yes.
Yeah. Because I mean, to me, it's like, I mean, okay, they did what? Xbox, PlayStation, and PC.
Yeah.
So I mean, at least you should see sales from PlayStation and PC, because I mean, Xbox don't really release sales.
Yeah.
And then I guess whatever, because no one really knows the way Game Pass works between Xbox and developers. But if we are going to guess, I'm assuming you get money up front to put your product on Game Pass, especially if you're talking day one. Yeah. So there is a bag to be had. Now, how big it is, that's a whole different conversation. But for the devs not to receive their royalties, and the game has been out for how long now?
Say about 3 months.
4 months. We're all aware the game released pretty bad. Released with issues. People don't like the whole games as a service situation. So
yeah.
I mean, it was bound to fail when it came out in the first place, even though some people liked it. It had some great parts to it, but I mean, it's another Avengers situation. It's just a matter of, I'm assuming the devs with the Avengers at least got the royalties.
Yeah.
I guess that's the only difference.
Can only hope.
Right.
Well, according to this, it's interesting because they're basically assuming that they haven't broke even yet.
That would make sense.
So how much did this game cost to make? Because number one, they still got floating hair problem in that game. So how much did this game cost?
I mean, we're talking about Square here. So Square seems to act like they got infinite money. So that their budgets are usually insane.
Yeah, but they stay in the red too, though. So
yeah.
Man, they just.
This one's baffling me because I mean, honestly, these two projects in themselves seem weird for me from Square.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't even seem like a typical Square type of thing.
This is Square trying to be more westernized rather than sticking to what they're used to.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the problem. And on top of it, they bought a bunch of Western studios.
Yeah.
So that's the thought process that goes into the games.
And now we see what the problem is then, because I'm like, yeah, that ain't, that ain't cool. no matter how you slice it. I feel bad. I feel bad about it, but I'm like at the same time, I'm like, bruh, it's because up to August 16th, according to this article on what's the name of this site, Eurogamer, they had not received. People Can Fly have not received royalties. So that's August 16th. So that was last week.
I'd be just as pissed as them. And like honestly, if they're required to do any more work, I'd stop working on it.
Yeah, because I mean, that's And to the people trying to blame this on Game Pass, don't do that.
I've done a breakdown. I've done a breakdown of how I think Game Pass works, but I'll try to sum it up real quick for people. Now, if anybody knew how Amazon ran actually free on their mobile stuff, they actually paid the developers depending on how long you played the game. So you could theoretically make more money on the game by putting it on that service than having somebody actually buy it.
Correct. Yeah.
So if Game Pass is working anything like that, then they're probably getting paid. They're probably getting paid based on the download. It's probably going to be a really small amount, like maybe $1 per download. But then they're probably getting paid tracked based on how many hours people are logging into the games. That's why they can have the games be discounted when you purchase them through Game Pass as a service. If they're on Game Pass and you purchase them, you'll get the discount. At least that's what makes sense to me, because Microsoft's getting their money up front. They're getting most of their money up front with people paying for the service, and they'll probably divvying it out in little bits to the companies.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even here on Eurogamer as well, I mean, Square themselves said that the digital download and the sales ratio was pretty high, especially when they announced it was coming to Game Pass. So it's like Game Pass isn't the issue. And if I'm doing the games as a service, Game Pass is kind of where I want my game to be in the first place, because now you don't have to shell out $60, $70 and then all the extra stuff I'm going to ask you to pay for on the back end.
Yep. You can just treat it like a free-to-play game at that point.
Pretty much. So if it didn't succeed on Game Pass, then as a shooter, I mean, at that point, that's the game. I mean, the game as itself. I think Square has to really take a hard look at it and say, yes, we want this to be our next new IP that was going to be pretty big, but you really have to be honest with yourself. Was this game that game?
Nah.
And I don't think not as it. After playing the demo, and the issues they had with the trickster class because I had a problem with the trickster class twice. I had to start my game over and pick another class just because the trickster class wasn't working.
Right. Yeah.
Period. So, I mean, you have to factor that in too. People Can Fly. I mean, come on, man. Y'all game wasn't perfect.
Nah, not even close.
So, I mean, I feel bad because y'all should be getting paid your royalties. That's not negotiable with me. I understand that, but I mean, it's kind of a jacked up situation to be sure. Now, moving on from that to the next jacked up situation.
Is it really?
To me, it's not, because this is where we're at in gaming. And I found this on purexbox.com. So 343 is releasing Halo this year, but it's not releasing. I don't want to say it in its entirety, but that's pretty much what it is. They're not releasing everything. They are certain stuff isn't coming till a couple months later, and then the last thing is going to come. The Forge and all of that stuff is going to come at sometime next spring.
Right.
So,
the Forge. See, I could understand why people are mad about the Forge, but then again,
if they don't do it, they're going to have to delay it. They're trying not to delay it. So that's what the problem was. I get where they're coming from.
I mean, Halo 5 still around.
As a non-Halo player, what exactly is Forge?
The Forge is like a mode where you can build your own like levels and maps in the game. So think of Forge as like basically a level editor. and they
Okay.
have like you can take either the pre-made levels and do stuff with them, or you can take the big open area level called Forge World and build structures around the different levels of terrain that they have.
Okay. So now with that, and then if I'm not mistaken, co-op campaign is not going to be there as well, right?
Yeah, it's not. No,
Okay.
that's the first thing that's going to come is that one, and then the Forge is going to be later. So
Okay. So now with that information, now that I'm educated on it, the Forge sounds like something that should come later down the line anyway. If you have brand new maps that you haven't utilized being a brand new game, I'm playing those maps first. And then let's say if 6 months down the line Forge shows up, okay, that'd be a nice new addition. I don't see where this is a ding.
The thing is that Forge has been there.
yeah,
It's
understand
been in the
that.
game since 3. So
Yeah.
I can understand why people are agitated, but if they're not charging you extra for it,
Right.
which they're not.
no point in worrying about it. You know it's coming.
Because my thing is this: we knew even last year this was going to be a game that was going to stretch over a time span. So you were bound not to get everything up front anyway, because they're gonna find ways to keep you coming back or to keep you there. Now, I mean, if we're talking about cutting here and there of the things that's going to be there and what's important and what's not important, honestly, when it comes down to it, if we're talking about a game releasing this year and they had y'all doing like a beta test, an open beta test just last month, did you really think it was going to release complete?
You can't expect that.
No, I mean, if they was doing this last year, then okay, yeah, we tested it out last year. We went with that test along with what you said, and we fixed stuff up. Now, at this point, you tested it out. It's gonna be a long-lasting game. It's not like it's gonna be a one-and-done situation.
I can understand. Never is like that.
It's never like that. So, to me, from what I've seen, a lot of people talk about before they found something else to get mad about, they were only focused on multiplayer. Most people said there's campaign players and then there's just multiplayer. But if Forge is the only thing that's missing from my multiplayer, I'm not tripping.
Yeah, because your multiplayer is still there.
Right.
Yeah,
the multiplayer is still there. Like the game's gonna release with the campaign and the multiplayer. The co-op campaign's coming later, but campaign and multiplayer, which most people don't even. From what I understand, they don't hardly use the co-op campaign unless you got friends with your friends with you.
Right.
So, I mean, I play the campaign because I like the lore of Halo. So, I play that anyway. I jump into multiplayer every now and again when my friends are there, but other than that, I don't really jump in multiplayer like that. I like playing the story. So, I mean, it's not a big deal to me. That's why I was like, is it really a bad thing? Not really. It's not really a bad thing because and in this day and age, come on, man.
When was the last complete game we got? At launch, I mean, like the day at launch, when was the last complete game without any additions, updates, patches? When was the last time
You're not gonna find one. You're not gonna find one. I mean, hell.
Like, honestly, I mean, I get what people are saying because I mean, I feel the same way. If I'm dropping $60 a day, I better get my whole product.
Yeah,
but it's pretty much like you're doing a rent to own situation. Like, okay, I paid today and then I get the rest of my stuff tomorrow. Like, it's weird, but like you said, that's where we at right now, especially when we talking about 100+ gig games.
Yeah, I mean, dude, this and I'm betting this is gonna be 100+ gigs.
I mean,
oh yeah.
Here's my thing though. Where was all this energy when Grand Theft Auto 5 released like that? Because I was there. There weren't a bunch of people. There was small niches of people like us that were saying, "No, this ain't right. They need to release the whole game."
Yeah.
The majority of people was like, "Man, get over it. Whatever. It's coming later."
Right.
Use the same attitude here.
Yeah, same attitude.
It's coming later.
Yeah. I'm like,
it's not like they're charging you extra to use it. If they were charging you extra for the other stuff, then I'd wholeheartedly be behind everybody. But since they not, just get over it.
Just get over it. You'll be all right. You'll live. And to be clear, this is gonna be another Pokemon Animal Crossing situation. Y'all gonna buy it anyway.
Right.
Y'all gonna be there day one.
Game Pass or purchase. That y'all gonna be
As a matter of
there.
fact, most of y'all ain't gonna be Game Pass. Y'all gonna actually buy it.
Right.
Mhm.
Because I mean, you're gonna have a brand new campaign to where they said they switched some stuff up, and
Yep.
then you have a brand new multiplayer again. Like that's the bread and butter right there. You got it.
You got it. And let's be honest, most of y'all don't want to play with Spartan Luke Cage anyway. So y'all got y'all got Master Chief and crazy ass Cortana. So
Right.
y'all
Right.
be happy. Y'all gonna buy it. So I don't even know why half of y'all complaining, because you know good and well it's gonna be y'all go. I'm gonna see y'all online.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same thing when I think it was Blandrew. He was talking about Mario Golf. Like over time, like the game hasn't been out but a couple of months, and we're still getting stuff added to it. There's some things that should it have been there day one, yes, but we got it. This is the same thing with Mario Tennis. Mario Tennis from when it launched to where it is now is a totally different game. Splatoon, we got the single player later down the line. I mean, it's just it's just where we at with it. You know, if they don't have time to put what is not necessarily the main focus of the game in later, then that's what they'll do. It's just,
and they're not charging you for it. That's the thing.
that's the biggest key thing.
Yeah, they're not. Now, if this was EA.
Oh yeah, they would have got you. They would have got you.
Yeah, you gonna pay for this.
Oh yeah, you gonna pay for the update, the patches, and everything. Like you just. EA so foul. Like this Madden 22 situation is ridiculous. Like,
I'm laughing.
I mean, I know we didn't have this on the sheet, but like just watching Madden 22 and just watching how they did absolutely nothing. I'm like, how does EA keep getting away with this? Because I mean, I understand it from a basketball person, and there's no other basketball game on the market. You tend to just suck it up and say, you know what, I'm going to experience it. And there are some under the hood things that, you know, you'll have to play to figure it out. But come on, like, I don't, the game doesn't even function properly.
Dude, I'm laughing so hard because I'm like, this happens every year. And
every year.
And people still buy it. I'm like, you don't have.
I said, even for this. The one key thing, like I said, you can keep all the other stupidity, the incorrect contracts, and all the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
I saw today, Pat Mahomes, the half cover athlete, looking at his stats, right? They have him like, he has like, 8 tackles and a couple of sacks. I'm like, he's a quarterback. Like, what do you,
like I said,
where did this stat line come from? Like, in the
words of the great animated thespian Bugs Bunny, it is to laugh.
It's the cry, because it makes no sense that they make all this money and do nothing. It's got to be the easiest job, dude. It's got
somewhere the old Vicarious Visions NFL 2K guys saying, "We told y'all." We told y'all.
And the NFL don't even care, dude. Like NFL's just like, hey, y'all got the money?
Yeah, that's just extra money. So what's up, Shadow?
What's going on, gentlemen? How y'all doing?
Good.
I'm actually glad you joined, because we about to talk about Fight Club, player.
Oh yeah, of course.
Your favorite fighting game of all times.
Well, I mean,
Rumble Roses.
Rumble Roses is pretty good. Pretty good.
First, we want to tackle your favorite fighting game of all time, my brother.
Well,
Eternal Champions.
If y'all follow me, y'all know what that is. That is
Eternal Champions.
It's an arcade game. It's a midway game. It's also a rare game. It's also a Nintendo game, and that is Killer Instinct 2. Still, like even the newer Killer Instinct is definitely great. The online modes and all that stuff is really good. But if you're talking about 1995, 1996, complete game from beginning to end, it's Killer Instinct 2. Full multiple endings for each character. Touch theme music, obviously. Still stellar graphics for the time, and even now it doesn't really age that well. Other than it being at 480p, you don't really like that's a really well made game.
Oh yeah.
They just did a real good they did a real good job making that game, and it's one of those situations where somebody that doesn't play fighting games can still get into that game. the first Killer Instinct was not that forgiving.
No,
no, it was not. But you could as a new person, you could play as Jago, Orchid, definitely Saberwolf. And your harder characters would still be Spinal and Fulgore. But you had a couple of characters, like even like I saw people that started playing with Maya, like they never had played Killer Instinct before, and they were able to kind of catch on to how the game played. And to me, I think that's the perfect combination of something like that. You just walk into an arcade, you see this game making all this noise, and you can put a couple quarters in, and you know what you're doing.
And it was always a crowd. It was always a crowd. It was always a crowd around that game.
Always a crowd, and it was always hard to master too. And you would come across people, in different versions of the game. Obviously, had glitches and stuff like that. So you would have there would be tournaments of people that would literally in the tournament they would just reset the game just to screw with you. They do a combo that would glitch the game out, then they just walk away. Like just like it's the ultimate fatality or whatever. That to me, and it's not just. And it's not just those moments, so it's not just a nostalgia tied to it. It's I can pull up that ROM and play it on an emulator or whatnot, and that arcade game it still feels the same. It still has the same vibe. I can play it on the Xbox One or the Series X or whatever when they made they remade it for Xbox Live or whatever.
Right.
And it still feels just as good. So to me, that's it. It's way slower compared to the current Killer Instinct. But once you get back into that groove of feeling it actually gets fast once you start playing it again. It's one of those things where it looks slow until you're playing it, and then it starts speeding back up. So
I think the two key games for me, no matter how much I play them on console, I don't know if it's just the speakers and everything else that came along with arcade. Was Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat 3. Just hearing the buttons, the stick, and then the speakers from that arcade machine, and then seeing the quarters lined up is just walking into the arcade and just hearing Liu Kang. Just constantly. I'll never forget that feeling. And
that was MK2 for me, because that was when they first started using DCS sound system like strong. Okay. And Killer Instinct 2 hit. Mortal Kombat 2 hit real hard too. But 3, because combos.
Combos.
Okay, so Shadow, let me ask you this. So we both played the Killer Instinct that came out. I think we were like the only two that actually enjoyed ourselves. Everybody else was like mad at the game. We actually enjoyed ourselves playing it. So do you think that they need to do like an overhaul, like say Sam Show did with Samurai Showdown 2019, where they did pretty much a whole graphical overhaul? Still kind of kept the spirit of the game, but they did do graphic overhaul, a whole soundtrack overhaul, and all of that. Do you think Killer Instinct needs to do that to kind of measure up to the Mortal Kombats and I ain't gonna say Street Fighter, because Street Fighter got their own bag of problems. But you know what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah. So the way I feel about that is, I'm one of those rare, pun intended. How can I say this? I'm one of those rare individuals that has to take on a game where all three games are perfect the way that they are. To be honest with you, you can't Killer Instinct 1 better than Killer Instinct 1, and same for 2. And then the 2013 game, every way that you can make it better, Iron Galaxy made it better. All the complaints we had initially when the game first came out, the outfits, all that kind of stuff, adding more soundtracks back, they did all of that. They brought the stage fatalities back. They brought ultimate combos. Like, there's no, to be honest with you, I don't think there's any fixing that. The problem is,
there's one thing they can fix.
Tusk.
Tusk theme.
They can fix that.
Bring the Conan killing theme back.
And that's weird, because that's a weird copyright situation, obviously. And I don't know why that's such a big deal, because they brought back all the TJ Combo stuff.
Yeah,
they brought back all the Orchid stuff. So
and if it's that bad, okay, let Omega Sparks do a daggone remix and rap over it, and we'll be fine.
So that's the only. That's that's the going joke, but I don't really think, other than like little fan things that we miss here and there, I really don't think that it could be fixed. Like, so I think one of the one of the Easter eggs in the Game Boy version of the game or something to that effect. Jago would drop a Killer Instinct arcade machine on you, and when it fell down, it had a picture of Conquer on it. And then in the Conquer game, he was playing Killer Instinct. So it's like little things like that, but you're really not gonna go too much further than that. That game feels like Killer Instinct. Like 2013, you don't think it does until you play, and then when you play, you're just like, why? Like how did they capture this? It was magic. Like how they did it.
The same way. Yeah,
it's a weird thing. You're like, this is like Street Fighter 4 kind of blah blah blah, and then you start playing, and you're like, no, this is Killer Instinct, and there's just no.
And then you realize that you still don't understand how to use the dragons with Kim Woo.
Man, it's so many. That's a whole meta game of itself. Like when to counter, when not to counter, how to keep up with the count of how many dragons she has, what you can parry, what you can't parry.
And then you just say the hell with it and you go back to Jago.
Right.
Yeah, or in my case, Maya probably depending on who I want to fight for the day.
I'd say Killer Instinct 2013 is one of the rare instances where a game feels better than it looks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Rare
I really got
instances,
into
pun?
it. I really
do it on purpose.
we just need to sell merch. Just
pretty much.
Rare
instances. It was something that I got into because I played the original when it came out. And then I played Gold when it came out on 64 because I literally had that and probably one other 64 game. But playing this game, even though they were short on characters in the beginning and they were still adding stuff down the line and tweaking, it was still like Killer Instinct. And the first thing I wanted to pull off was an Ultra. They try to figure that out because the only Ultra I had ever pulled off before then was just button mashing with Spinal, and it just happened. I was like, okay, I don't know how that happened, but okay, cool. But they made it easy, and like Trinell said, the best tutorial within a fight game for me.
It is.
So it was on point.
And the menu, like you cycle through the menu, is playing the soundtrack with each item. Like each, like they're playing a chord of the original thing. Like just so much thought was put into this game. Like, I don't know. I cannot stand for a game harder than, and it's so crazy because Killer Instinct 2 is still my favorite game of the franchise, and yet this game was done so well. Like I just really wish that Microsoft was able to make this into a big franchise for them, and I know they really can, especially if you think about what the latest interview that Xbox head was talking about, where it was really lightning in a bottle, and they can't really recreate that.
They can do that if they want to. His name is Masahiro Sakurai. Just give him a 2-year break and he'll fix it for you.
Ooh.
So
because he just said that he plans to keep working as long as he can. So I mean,
let that man get a year off because he deserves a year vacation.
If there's anybody that can do it, I'm definitely thinking it could be him. The things that he's done, like how he's taken like a character from a completely different type of game and still make them fit inside of something. He could probably do it.
Yeah, he could pull it
off. He could probably do it.
He could pull it off all the while trolling everybody else. So all right, let me answer this right quick. So yes, where's Rival Schools, Darkstalkers, Cyberbots, Power Stone, and Star Gladiator? Bruh, I want all of them.
Right,
bring them all back.
Yeah.
Hey, what about Red Planet?
Yeah, so I mean,
that's a lot.
The thing about Rival Schools,
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah, because
that's not Akira, Capcom's license anymore.
Yeah. With Akira showing up as Street Fighter 5, and yes, she is available. I don't know why they didn't put the date when they released it, but she's available. With them doing that, they should do another Rival Schools. I agree with that. Darkstalkers, they should have been did that.
They should have been.
I don't know. Power Stone should have never stopped. But
Power Stone was the rival to Smash Brothers. If anybody would have thought about it, it was the game that would have been the rival to Smash.
Yeah,
because they had the whole gyms and weapons and power-ups and going crazy.
It's also not a true fighting game. Like Smash isn't a true fighting game.
Smash is more of a party game anyway.
But it works.
But it worked. It worked out because it had a completely different viewpoint. There was multiple different ways you could interact with the environment and the other characters.
Right.
So I'm like, Capcom, y'all sitting on a mountain of gold, which I just don't want to do nothing with.
Now, oh my bad. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, I was just saying, like, it doesn't make. And I know we've said this before with Capcom. If you look at the stuff that they still have the licenses for, it makes no
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
It literally makes no sense. They pretend like all they have is Street Fighter, Resident Evil, and that's
Monster
it.
Hunter.
Yeah, and Monster
Monster
Hunter.
Hunter
That's it.
now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how much now staying within the fighting genre, how much do you guys think that plays into the lack of character awareness to keep these franchises around? Because honestly, yeah, we can look at Power Stone and say, okay, we know the dude with the red outfit may be the face of it, but honestly, is he appealing for you to keep him
Well,
around to
yeah,
also
Falcon
tie
is-
into the
If they actually put the effort into the game, Falcon could be one of their top tier mascot characters.
right?
Yeah, and here's the thing, and this is going to be funny because I can't believe I'm actually going to say this, but that's one of the reasons why Smash Brothers does what they do. Because if you put your character in Smash, I
Right.
promise you, it goes up.
Yeah.
It shoots through the roof. It's because Sakurai made a freaking house plant viable in Smash. Okay,
That's crazy.
Look,
And then Pac-Man 99 did numbers, and Pac-Man is in Smash. I don't know what else to tell you.
here's how Capcom, if they were smart and they worked with Nintendo, they could
which they did.
for this particular instance.
Yeah.
If they wanted Power Stone to take off, you could either put Falcon or Wang Tang in Smash.
I'll go
I would
Wang
say
Tang.
Wang
That's my
Tang
guy.
because that's the more Goku character. Everybody's
Yeah.
wanting Goku.
That power up.
That's the closest you're gonna get.
Yeah.
He's my
so I would put it
Maxi for Power Stone. I like him and Maxi and Soul Calibur. Like that's my Maxi.
Yeah.
As far as Darkstalkers, though, I think I remembered it wrong. I knew that it sold out when it first came out on PSP. It was a launch title for PSP. Dark Tower
Right.
was
Mhm.
right. But they didn't print that many copies. So the game, from all what I'm looking at here, it didn't sell. It didn't even sell 200,000 copies. So,
Oof.
and Darkstalkers Resurrection didn't do well either, and that was
But then-
2012. So,
But then they get because I think they wasn't the versus games how like Morgan and Dimitri. That's how people started to know him.
yeah, and Dark Tower
versus
had
games.
everybody in it. It had all the returning characters from all the Darkstalkers in. So whoever they took out of Darkstalkers 2 and 3, they put them back. So for whatever reason, I know people weren't buying PSP games. That clearly was a thing, and that's why Sony ran away from it so
I thought
quick.
that the first two games did pretty decently on the
No,
original
they didn't print that
PlayStation.
much. On the original PlayStation,
On the original
I don't
PlayStation,
know.
everything sold, but not PSP. And that was like the closest. The last couple of games were PSP, and then the Resurrection was on 360 and I think PS3.
Yeah,
And I think
And I know they didn't sell good.
All Resurrection was a remake of the Japanese one that they had on Sega Saturn.
yeah, and I know that one didn't sell well because people didn't like it. I remember that.
This
People
software
didn't
sales
like it.
list is sad.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
looking at it now, and it's just Smash, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken. You got one Dragon Ball in here.
Yep.
Arms made it, and then Virtua Fighter and Bloody Roar. But that's it.
Yeah.
As many fighting games as we have, I don't even see a Marvel vs. Capcom. Nothing up here.
Well, to
Marvel
be
vs.
honest,
Capcom is understandable.
to be honest, only ones who's gonna show up was Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but that's not even here out of 26 slots.
Yeah,
Like,
when you look at best selling fighting games, it's abysmal. When you look, you like Smash, it's no contest between Smash Bros. And anything else.
that's why I was wondering what they were talking about with Mortal Kombat, but they were talking about combined as far as being the best selling.
And Mortal Kombat 11 did really well. It's just you're not gonna touch Nintendo. Not with that.
Not even close.
No. So I'll go next with my personal favorite that I both love and hate at the same time. Y'all probably know what I'm talking about. Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
One or two.
Oh, you know which one I'm talking about.
Well,
I mean, I like Soul Edge, so I was
about to
whatever.
say technically
First of all-
one is Soul Edge.
First of all, good and doggone well, anything with Link in it is good.
That would be Soul Calibur 2.
I don't even know why you asked that. So
That challenge mode is so addicting. Like it's hard, but for whatever reason, you just keep hitting A to go back into it.
It's
Like
fun.
you always want a rematch. Like
Even if you lost, you had fun.
Mhm.
It's
And
killing my backlog right now because I keep playing GameCube games and Soul Calibur 2 is one like you just go in there, you're like, hey, well, this was on my save last. Let me see if I can go unlock these last couple of characters, and you got to go in that mode to do it or whatever. And you get on this thing you need to beat in a certain amount of time, so you can unlock, whatever character. I think whatever characters I have left, I still have to unlock Cervantes for whatever reason. Like I have them on multiplayer, I don't have them on single player. So I got to unlock them on single player.
You got to go through all that to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, I'm like, man, come on. Like I got to go through all this, and then for whatever reason, you're like, instead of saying this is dumb, I'm throwing this away, or I'm done with the game right now. You've already hit A again, and you're
That's the thing is that's the only game I have ever 100%ed twice.
Yeah,
the second time I did it because my save data got messed up.
That's a lot of content, man. I thought Tekken 3 had a lot. That's a lot of content.
Tekken 3 ain't have nothing, but compared to that,
that's a lot.
And I will say one of the main reasons why I like Soul Calibur 2 is that's the first time they did the guest characters.
Right.
And I think that the way they did it, it was perfect. That's probably the best Soul Calibur they did, because I'm gonna tell you right now, Soul Calibur 6 ain't it.
Nah.
It's not it. So I'm one of those people who actually believe that the Soul Calibur series should do what Samurai Showdown did and get a whole new overhaul, refresh graphics, all that. What Sam Show did in 2019, that's what Soul Calibur needs to do at this point. Because at this point, I'm like, after playing 6, I'm just like, this is the best y'all got.
They should just release a compilation for all platforms too. Like do Soul Edge, do Soul Calibur 6, then do all the Tekkens or whatever. Just put all of them out and then just go from there and then see who have the online multiplayer and all different modes, what have you.
Yeah.
And then see what people like and go from there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, they're not gonna do that because they know good and well what would happen if they put
Soul Calibur 2.
If they put Link
and probably Soul Calibur.
Yeah, it's what's gonna happen. I'm like,
look, Soul Calibur 3 is good though.
Soul Calibur 3 is okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Even from a person that's not really into fighters like that, 3 was even okay to me.
So 3 was okay, but it lost a lot from 2.
Look, Soul Calibur 3 don't have Link in it.
Well,
I rest my case.
Well, that's the great part. Like
I got new moves, so
that's a very, very, very high bar to set. There's
high
no
bar.
Soul Calibur
they shouldn't have set the bar that high.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like I like Soul Calibur 2, and I played that on Dreamcast first, and then I got a chance to play GameCube because I didn't even pay any attention to Heihachi or Spawn.
Nobody don't care about them. Look. But to be honest though, Soul Calibur 2 is my favorite because I think that was the more complete game out of a fighting game. They put a lot of content. This is before Sakurai went ballistic,
went nuts.
With content.
Who's to say that wasn't where he got the inspiration?
Yeah, but
you never know with him, man.
Yeah, but Soul Calibur 2, and the addition of Link was not fair.
No, he wasn't.
You knew how
he
to
wasn't.
fight. And you didn't.
He was fun.
And you didn't have to actually master him. You just had to know like 2 or 3 moves to get you out of stuff. And he could mess up anybody in that game in under 10 seconds.
And he has a lot of different moves too. He's got like 2 different unblockables. He can charge just about every move too. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
He has. I didn't think he had different stances, but what happens is in between a certain move, he'll stay in a stance, and then you can move. Yeah,
you can switch in and out because one of them is actually a parry move.
Yeah,
one of them is actually a parry. But once you know like his main few moves, he can mess up anybody in that game.
This is because the way Link works is he's like a more stable version of Maxi. Like he can slide in from one stance to the other, but he's more grounded than Maxi was. Maxi just kept going.
Yeah, that's why I liked it. It was just loose. You could literally just button mash with Maxi and just keep with the nunchucks. Just keep going. Go to the feet. Everything. It was. I love Maxi.
Also, there was another thing they used to do. They used to do those. Remember those demonstrations?
Right.
They would they would show you like how the move really works in real life. That's another thing that I liked about Soul Calibur and Soul Calibur 2. They would show you that, like with each character, they show you how the katas work and all of that. And I'm like, that was dope. They don't do that anymore, but that was dope. So Soul Calibur's mine. But I'm one of those people because I got upset when Bandai Namco screwed everybody over again by not bringing when they did the re-release, the HD re-release, but left Nintendo out of it.
That was
For
The
reasons.
obviously
problem,
intentional.
the only problem with that is because they couldn't put Link in the other ones, and I know that's why they
Right.
did it.
I don't care.
They knew what it
Okay.
did the first time, and
I'm just
I don't
saying,
think Microsoft and Sony would have bid for
No,
a
they wouldn't.
second.
Nah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
if
not
it
my
was me-
fault.
if it was me, I'd have been like, okay, well, they can't get Link, but Nintendo can get Link, and we can make
Right.
a lot of money. So let's
Yeah.
put it there.
Yeah.
I think the deal would have been, we'll allow it to be multi-platform if you let our versions be first. And then
Right.
at that point, Nintendo isn't going to accept that deal either if their version of it comes out
But the
like a
thing-
year later.
But
Well,
the
no,
thing
they
is,
could have done that. They still would have made the money.
Oh, they still would have made the money, but why would Nintendo agree to that? You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
But
you're
the thing
like,
is-
we're gonna get this version of the game, and then you have to pay us to put this character in here, and
Yep.
it's gonna come out a year later. Come on, man. Like,
but
that's
here's the main difference. Spawn and Heihachi are third-party, non-exclusive characters.
Right.
Link
Yeah.
is an exclusive character, so
Yep.
you can't get mad at, like, Sony and Microsoft don't have a leg to stand on. So if I'm Bandai Namco, do you want the game or not?
Yeah.
Because you don't
And
have a leg to stand on.
I'd be, if it were me and I knew which version of the game sold better, I would just re-release Soul Calibur 2 for whatever Nintendo platform was available then at the time,
Yeah.
and then have all the guest characters in it since they were all
Yep.
third party.
That would have
Right.
because
Yeah.
the thing is, if they had put it out on the Wii U during the time, that would have actually been the most complete version of the game because
Yeah.
But everybody was trying to kill
Arcade-
Wii U, so that wasn't happening.
the arcade
that's-
had all three of the the console guest characters, but it didn't have Necro. And
Right.
the home console had Necro and this console specific characters. So if
Yeah.
they would have put it on the Wii U, it could have had all four of them.
Yeah. So I just once again, Bandai Namco, I like y'all sometimes, but y'all really make some weird
Stupid
decisions.
decisions.
Yeah,
it's
it's-
not
it's-
weird.
It's
stupid.
just the publishing side more
Yeah.
than anything. Because
Yeah, it's definitely the publishing side. The development house ain't got that problem.
Yeah, they don't have that problem, but yeah, I just be looking at them and I'm like, either y'all say something stupid like, this game can't run, then
And then it's running a year later.
yeah, this is running. Like, then it's running once they hit 40 million sold, Dragon Ball Fighters. Or you just not bringing the most popular version of a game that you re-released. Reasons. So
I'm just like, where's Ridge Racer at? That's where I'm at right now. Like,
because
where's that?
you can blame Forza and other
Yeah.
for that. You can blame for that.
I mean, I guess if
those are good games.
Cruising and some of these other games to where they can go back to like an arcadey type feel succeed.
Yeah,
probably
then
there's a
maybe they
market
can
for
do it.
that.
Yeah, it's a market. For
It's a
it,
market for everything arcadey. They just don't want to do it.
They don't wanna do it,
Yeah. All right. So Jack, favorite fighting game, go.
If I had to pick one that I spent the most time with, it had to be Mortal Kombat 2. Like that was even though I like King of Fighters and I like what is it, the Marvel vs. Capcom games, the game I spent the most time with was Mortal Kombat 2 because I remember when I got it, when we rented it first, and Video Etc. gave me a poster with all the fatalities on it, and I just ran through it and just did every fatality known to man, and that was like the first time I ever played Mortal Kombat on hard, trying to go through and actually beat that game and, beat Shang Tsung. And at the time they were introducing brand new characters coming from one. And it was like, to me, that's why I started loving like sequels to games because they were really like top tier. At that point, you knew a part two was going to be like part two. Like this was going to be a stack up. So, I mean, we got combos in 3, but with 2, I loved Katana, Liu Kang's new moves with the bicycle kick, Sonya at that time getting a little bit better, and then the secret characters to where you could possibly get Jade and Chameleon, and it was just everything about that game as far as the fighting, the moves, and the characters just kind of spoke to me as far as Mortal Kombat. And even with a franchise still going, 10 and 11 are amazing. So
And
I mean,
you realize Kentaro was going to cheat every time in the
right. that was the one thing because like even with Shao Kahn, like he got on my nerves because no matter what you did, like he'd do that shoulder charge and just like boom, boom. I'm like, come on, dude. Like,
all right, Ultimate Warrior.
Right. But that's what made me stick. Like with Katana, do the fans, get them up in the air anytime you want to charge, and then do your little combos that you could pull off. And that was the one thing that kind of kept me away from Street Fighter, because with Street Fighter, I didn't even know you could do combos in Street Fighter because it just seemed so stiff to me.
Yeah.
But then playing Mortal Kombat, even though they said that you did combos, you had to be quick to pull those moves off, and you had to be very precise. And just figuring that out and learning that, and at that point, we didn't call it that, at least in my household, maining a character. Katana was my go-to every single time.
Yeah, Katana was one of my favorites. It was Katana. For me, it was Katana, Baraka, and then once I found out that Melina was basically the top tier character of that game, her, and then sometimes I played Sub-Zero, but it was definitely a lot of Katana and Baraka.
How dare y'all not respond to the majesty of Kung Lao?
Oh man,
Kung Lao was great
too.
I love.
It's just
Kung
like
Lao.
If you got quarters on the line, who you gonna pick? Like,
you got a point. You got quarters on the line. Like,
See, my favorites in that were Johnny Cage and freaking Sub-Zero. I just stuck with those two for the most part.
Johnny had some good loops too. Like you could do some serious damage with him.
Because at that point he had started, throwing the little ball across the screen and everything like that. I mean, he still had a little crotch punch, and then a little slide kick. Like he was getting to that point of adding as a character. But like Shadow says, if you got quarters on the line, you kind of gotta go what you go to. And that was a big transition for me, because getting onto an arcade at that time was damn near impossible. And I only had like a split second to even touch it, because it was like, hey, we walking in the store, you can go over there and play it, but by the time I need to go, bring your ass. So it was like, all right, cool. I gotta try to get where I fit in. But it was a transition going from that to console, because it was a huge difference. And then even for the people I knew that had Segas, it was a difference too. So I'm like, Chad, okay, they got the 3-button controller on Sega, but then I got 4 over here, but then in arcade I got even more control buttons. It was crazy.
I excommunicated any Genesis owner that didn't have the 6-button controller, because I already tried to play. Special Championship Edition with that thing, and I'm like, I'm not gonna play Mortal Kombat 2.
Right.
So like, there's no way. I was like, you ain't got a 6-button controller, we're not even doing it. So
that was a struggle that wasn't worth it.
It wasn't worth it.
At the time, I had a Super Nintendo Fight Stick, and the Super Nintendo Fight Stick came with an adapter, so you could play it on both the Super Nintendo and the Genesis. So sometimes I would take just the adapter with me and bring a Super Nintendo controller over. So if my friend wanted to play Mortal Kombat on his Genesis, I could literally just plug in the Super Nintendo controller to the Genesis, and then just remount the buttons and play with the Super Nintendo.
I was about to say, I was like, so how did the buttons map? But I realized I forgot. At a point in time, we could actually do that without waiting for an update or something like that to allow you to change shit. But I forgot.
You can just do it in the game.
I forgot. We've come back. We didn't advance to nothing. We just came back to what we were doing already. So but that was my go-to. And even then, like, even though I'm not into fighting games like that as much as I want to be, I'll still pick up Mortal Kombat every single time, and I'll run through that story, go through story mode with every character. And that's what I like about the new Mortal Kombat, because they kind of put it in a way to where you kind of have to test out every single character going through that story mode, opposed to, all right, I got Katana run through the whole tower. Now I got Johnny Cage go through the whole tower. You're going to be forced to use everybody.
Yeah. And then the amount of stuff they stuck in there. And then so some stuff was very specific that you had to do to unlock certain characters.
That's what I like.
Some things were completely random, just so you would wonder if there was a trick to it. Like every now and then, Johnny Cage's moves glowed red, just for whatever reason, and it was just a little bit stronger, and it was completely random. There was no reason for it. It was just he would do a shadow kick and it would be red.
That the myths, the lies.
So many people like, well, if you hold the button and you go back, it was just random.
I miss those days of the lying and the myths of like, man, all you gotta do is just do this, or you gotta do it.
And
6
that
times.
never works. And that never works.
Never.
He's like, hey, if you do 7 360s with jacks at the end, he'll bring a helicopter down and it's just gonna spray everybody on the screen. Like,
that's the one thing I don't like about the internet, because you were allowed to be ignorant in your own local space. That was just. But I mean, Mortal Kombat especially for sure. But that game just kind of goes back, even just sitting down watching my uncle play it on hard mode, because he'll come off of leave, because he's been in the military since high school, and he was the only reason why I played Mortal Kombat, because those Super Nintendo cartridges, my grandfather was not doing that. So he'll bring them, and I just sit there and watch him like run through everybody with Shang Tsung. And then when he started, when he got the whole outfit change and lifting the fireballs out the air, and it was a whole different thing. And the secret characters, we talked about this before, of either unlocking or having the idea that you could unlock. Of Smoke and Noob Saibot and Chameleon Jade, like all of it. It was just a secret. The dude that was on fire in the background on the pit level, like it was just
it's like, who is that guy?
Right. It was like, oh well, it looks like Jax, and that's how he got the middle arms. And I'm like, oh
no, that's not how that ain't how that happened.
Hey, he just steady burning too the whole time.
The elementary talk back in the day, you know what I mean? That's just he was back there in the back with Liu Kang. That's what it was.
Well, I will give Mortal Kombat this. I personally liked 5 better. I love Deadly Alliance, but
really,
yeah, I did. I did love Deadly Alliance. I like that they actually did actual stances and actual moves, real kung fu styles.
That game looks muddy today, by the way. So
it does. It does. It looks hella muddy, but at the time it looked great.
Yeah.
But I will say this: I will give NetherRealm and I'll give Ed Boon some props because they realized that they had jumped the shark and they rebooted it. Then they rebooted
MK9,
and it made and now they've made sense. And like with 11's story was dope.
Yeah,
it was dope. Yeah. So, and I like the way they went with it. So, Mortal Kombat, they can get some love.
So, quick question before we move on, though. With Mortal Kombat 11, for hopefully anybody here done played it, because if not, I'm about to spoil something. But do we keep pushing this narrative with Liu Kang? There's this god Liu Kang now.
Hey, Dragon Ball made Goku a god. So,
they kept it canon that he dies multiple times. So,
right, exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna continue that. So really, at this point in this timeline now, everybody dies at least once because there's a ghost. There's a ghost of it. There's a tortured soul or a outworld version of every character. So
because I'm about to say I don't know who worse, Liu Kang or June at this point, because I was like, June's gone, and they was like, oh no, June's back. I was like, I thought she was dead. And it was like, well, Liu Kang was dead and he's back. I'm like, all right.
And they did show at the end of Aftermath him training up another Kung Lao.
Right.
So.
And Kung Lao's forever because it's a line of Kung Laos. So the Kung Lao in Mortal Kombat 2 may or may not be the one in Mortal Kombat.
It's kind of like Sub-Zero in a way.
Well, so Sub-Zero
is a family title.
Same
thing with Goro too. There's multiple Goros.
There's multiple Goros. Can't wait to see the Hulk version of that. But before we keep going, Trinell, Dead or Alive Dimensions on 3DS is fire.
Oh yeah, it was a good game.
It is fire. Yeah. I don't
better than Street Fighter.
Yeah. And that game
wasn't a hard hill to climb.
Yeah, that game was the only problem I had with that game was when you had to fight in that vat with Ridley showing up to get the Metroid to get the Metroid stage or whatever that Ridley comes out of. I did not like that because 1, Ridley cheats, and 2, I did not have Samus. So to handle it, but that was a fun game. That was a real fun game. So, little man, all right.
See, he got something to say. He been playing some fighting games too.
All right, so
Womb Raider.
Andre, what you got?
As far as my favorite fighting game, it's always and forever going to be King of Fighters 97.
See, that used to be my.
That's a good pick.
That used to be
That's
my
a good pick.
That was the peak of
That's a real good king in that one too.
The peak of the Oro saga. The characters had the best move sets. The combo system was very fluid, even though it was a little stiff, but it was still fluid. The game was fast paced. The only issue I had with that game is that not everybody had their music. And they fixed that with the updated versions of the game.
So I'm still partial to 94 for some reason. I think because of
98 for me.
Because 94 you were stuck with your choices as far as when you pick the order of your team. And then the later games you can kind of pick what order and all that other kind of stuff almost every match. So it's a different. I guess going forward in the different versions of the games, they obviously added more move sets. You could add more intensity moves, like you charge up your moves or whatever, and you have desperation moves and all that. But 97 is really, really good. I played with at least 5 different characters on that one.
I've completed that game with everyone.
with everybody.
Every
Okay.
character,
Ooh,
every team
boy.
combination. I completed that game with all of them.
Jeez.
So,
That's-
And
Andre,
trust me.
And that
using
game is
Kim's team-
not for a beginner.
No, it is not. And using Kim's team was a pain in the butt, mostly
But
because
Kim's
of
good.
Chang.
Kim's
Mostly
good,
because
though.
of Chang. I could do it
Well-
with Choi and Kim, but Chang was a big target.
So, Andre, I'm gonna have to ask you, man. I gotta ask
Uh-oh.
you this because your boy Sakurai made Terry look so much better than he did.
Hey.
Okay, so King of Fighters 14 don't get no love.
I mean,
No.
For what?
so
For
that's
what?
one of those games
the
where
bad thing is it's not that I don't appreciate it, but it's like y'all
Why?
did so much stuff
Yeah.
that just was not right with that went backwards.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Nah.
is it just hard to do? Is it hard for them to like re-engineer those
Nope,
games? For 3D?
Because look, 15 is doing it. So
Yeah,
no,
15 's
it wasn't
doing
it,
hard
yeah.
for them to do it. 15 is doing
No.
it perfectly fine.
Which
I'm not giving them that excuse.
the funny thing about it, because like once Terry got announced for Smash and Sakurai did the whole spiel, then all of a sudden King of Fighters 15 comes and they all
The style
the
looks
assets
almost like
look,
Smash.
yeah. I'm like, what? I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
I was like, why
Speaks
would
volumes,
y'all-
doesn't it?
like my thing is, why would y'all make Terry go backwards to how he was in the original Fatal Fury?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
didn't make any sense. That
Like,
really didn't make any sense.
No, like if you want to update his look, cool, but why go backwards?
So
Why not go to his Mark of the Wolves look where he had the brown
Right.
jacket
Yeah.
and he had the
And he
boots
cut his
and
hair,
the
yeah.
jeans?
I mean, for OG status, yeah, that's cool to keep that in there as an optional costume, but I wouldn't. That shouldn't be the default
Well,
unless
well,
you're just trying to.
well, because Andre, me and you talked about this before because we like the animated movies.
Mm.
Because Fatal Fury had some of the best series. Don't know
Oh,
why
yeah,
they
it had
stopped.
some amazing
Better
movies.
Fury is really good.
Yeah. So, do you think they can come off, especially now, and make a new Fatal Fury game, like not King of Fighters, but the actual Fatal
Yeah.
Fury game?
Yeah, they could make
And make
another
it work.
Fatal Fury game.
That
How
might
would
be
you do
tough.
it?
How
That
would
might
you
be
do
tough.
it? Would you do it
What-
like a full-on refresh, like Samsung,
Nah.
or what?
Well, I wouldn't want to do a refresh because they got Mark of the Wolves got left off of Rock going off of his uncle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's so much that they could do with that. I'm like, he wants to learn about his mother, what happened to her, if she's still alive, how
Mhm.
she's still alive. Like you brought in a new generation of characters. The same problem that Street Fighter had. You brought in a new generation of characters that linked to your older characters, and then just cut them off. I'm like, why not?
Now,
I think the universe is too small for the same reason they won't bring Art of Fighting back.
Yeah.
So like
right.
you,
That's what I'm saying.
if it's just
unless you combine
okay,
them, you
Yeah.
can't combine them because
if you do
Well, that
all
was
the
what
Fatal
King of Fighters was
Furies,
supposed to do.
if you do all the Fatal Furies, then maybe because you've got a roster of almost 30 at that point. But if you're King of Fighters, you can just pick anybody. So it's basically their
Yeah.
own version of Smash.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
the other thing I got to ask you, Andre, because this is also a very important question that needs to be answered. Would you bring back Kushinu Butt?
You mean Marco Rodriguez? Yes.
No, Kushinu Butt.
No, Marco Rodriguez.
No, Kushinu.
Yes.
Dude, why did they
I
do
hated
that?
That name was awful. I'm like, why would y'all
Marco.
name him?
Marco Butts.
No,
It's Kushinu
Butt.
Butt.
His name in
Kushinu
Japan was Marco Rodriguez, and I guess they
yeah.
didn't want him to have a similar name
Same.
to MMA fighter when they brought it
Yeah.
over here. I'm like, but
So
the names were still different.
yeah, it was
Same thing they did with M Bison.
Yeah,
Same situation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the
but
thing
that
was,
makes more sense to change that around
Yeah.
because M Bison actually sounds like
Mike
Master
Tyson.
Bison.
Yeah.
I'm like, it could be Mike Bison or Master Bison.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then they
Plus,
have
Vega
like
made more sense for the Spanish character.
yeah.
Balrog.
Because they were
Yeah.
saying those names got switched up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
got
Balrog
switched
and
around.
Vega are both Spanish names, so it's kind of
Yeah.
like how
But
they
Vega made more sense for the character that's going to be bouncing around.
I mean, it fits perfect. So
Yeah.
when they was like, "Oh, that wasn't going to be his name," I'm like, "Then what the
That
hell was it
wasn't
going to
his
be?"
original.
it's gonna be Balrog.
Wow.
It's a Spanish name though, but
Yeah.
Right.
And the reason why I brought up the whole Kushinu Butt because I knew Andre would know that. So
I was like, no, I would want him to be given his original name, Marco
Yeah.
Rodriguez, because
'Cause
he's
I didn't-
Brazilian.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know he had it. I didn't know that was his original name
was
until
like, I remember
was
hearing
looking up
that name
something
and just busting out laughing.
I'm like, why?
But
did
he's a thorough character though. He's so solid. And
Yeah,
he
but
had a horrible
I
name.
blame us.
a horrible name.
I
I'm like,
blame us.
who came up with Kushnu? But that's all.
I don't know.
Nude
Some
butt.
lawyer somewhere.
Hey,
This
look.
big karate dude, Koosh nude butt. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
with a pompadour and everything.
Right.
Why did
Looking like Kuwabara out here. I'm like, all right.
Looking like a black Kuwabara. Yep.
Yep.
Yes, he does, and he acts like one, but
Wow.
he don't get beat as bad.
Yeah, he just don't get beat up as bad. Yeah,
Don't do that to Kuwabara. He tried.
It's the truth.
He tried.
Well,
I mean,
until the girl
Kuwabara-
shows up, and then he goes down Kaioken.
Oh yeah. He show out when she show up.
Kuwabara is fighting among demons though, so that's his leeway.
Yeah,
I guess.
But the thing is, as soon as old girl show up, he turns into a Super Saiyan God. So I'm like, it doesn't make sense.
So now
there's a whole Reddit thread about that name. It's
wow.
Yeah. There's there's a good it's about a good two or three different conversations.
Yeah, Trinell, I agree with you. Free Sean from Street Fighter, let him out Capcom. And again, Sean Matsuda should not be as poor a fighter as he is. His sister's a top-notch fighter. She equals out with Ryu, and he trains with Ken, who's a top-notch fighter who equals out with Ryu. I'm like, so how the hell is he such a poor fighter?
He's parody like Dan.
There's only one. There's only one way to fix this.
Make him beat
Sean
Dan.
The Smash Brothers. No, Sean the Smash Brothers. That's the only way to fix it.
Sean
That's
and
the
Dan.
last.
But Dan can go in. Dan could be in Smash Brothers and get beat up by everybody.
Yeah, but Sean has to be Sean. That's the only way to fix him because we all know Sakurai would fix it.
The way to fix him is for Capcom to actually give the character some progress.
Yeah,
I'm like you can't tell me he trains with his sister. And then he's just a crappy fighter. He trains with his sister day in and day out, but he's a crappy fighter.
Well, isn't that what because 3 is supposed to be the present game, right?
Yeah.
3 is supposed to be the present game, and 5 and 4 is
prequels.
They're in the past.
prequel.
Yeah.
So technically, him sucking in 4 and 5 makes sense, I guess.
Because he's not in 4 or 5, so it doesn't make any difference.
Well, he's
in 3.
Well, he's mentioned. He's mentioned in
4. He's mentioned in 5.
Yeah,
I can understand. His sister saying you're not up to the level of this fight. I understand that, but I'm just saying on the general scope. If you think about it, logically speaking, if his sister is such a top-notch fighter and he was training with her, he's learned some of his moves from her. He should be better.
He should.
He should be way better a fighter. And it's just like when they realized they had to put Ken and Ryu back in, they said, okay, we're going to do him like Dan, which was dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You already got Dan. You already have Dan.
Already have Dan.
So much salt and third strike. Like you
you already got Dan, so you did not need another character to replace Dan. Yeah. Dan still exists.
Yeah.
You could have put Dan in Street Fighter 3.
Capcom has tried to deviate from the Ryuken formula for so long, and every time they end up having to learn from their mistakes. Like you can't always have them there. Don't get rid of Chun-Li either. Like you just gotta have them. So
you gotta have those three. You gotta have those three.
You have to
because if people buy that game, they're looking for those 3 characters.
Yeah,
you can't not have them. So,
now you can add other people.
Yeah, you can add other people. You can add other classic characters too. But if you don't have those 3. Because you ask a random person on the street, name a Street Fighter character. It's going to be those 3.
Those are the 3 that pop up.
Yeah, those 3 that pop up normally. I mean, because, unless you watch that 94 movie and then you'll probably say Van Damme. But, hey, look. We will not besmirch the awesomeness of 94 Street Fighter when I had to sit through Street Fighter Legend of Chun-Li.
Just like Transformers,
you didn't have to.
The animated movie is always going to trump the real movies. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
So now, Andre, with that game, would you like for them to do a story situation like Mortal Kombat does to kind of give people a little bit more insight on the lore and everything else when you talk about the combination of how many games come together to even make King of Fighters?
Yeah. I think that they were doing it with 13. What's up, little boy?
Daddy's a large.
They were doing it with 13, and they actually did it pretty decently with 13, but they just dropped it, I guess, with 14. I don't know why.
Right.
King of Fighters was weird because you got little story beats in the intro to different characters. Like if two characters had a story arc, when they got ready to fight, they would have like little gestures or little words to say to each other or whatnot.
Right.
And then you find out the majority of the story at the end. When you're fighting Geese or Garugal or whoever. Like you find out the majority of their story at the beginning of the fight or at the end of the fight. But that was I thought that was a cool and different way for them to have the story progress. And that kind of made you want to play with other characters and figure out what their interactions were with each other.
Right. Yeah.
That's how you learned who. That's how you learned who knew who and who had beef with who.
Right. Yeah.
Can we all just agree that Geese Howard died in the most hilariously ironic way?
I mean, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, you could say it's either the most hilarious or the most gangster, depending on which version you go with.
Yeah,
I'm going with hilarious, hilariously ironic to me.
Technically, he killed himself because
technically,
if we go on based on lore, Terry tried to save him.
Don't
put yourself in he snatched his hand away.
Yep.
But I still think it's funny. And then
the Smash version of it is funny.
It's hilarious. But I always thought that the original was hilarious too. I'm just like, I saw it coming a mile away. Like this fool finna die. I'm like, I ain't going out like that. I'm sorry.
He took himself out.
Yeah, I'm not going out like that. But and it kind of harkens back to that the whole Krauser situation in the OVA. He
took himself out.
Yeah.
Once he saw, and that's where Evil Ryu originated. People don't know, but Evil Ryu originated because of those Fatal Fury movies. Because Terry did it first in the movies, and then Evil Ryu shows up in Street Fighter Alpha 2.
Yeah. They had to come up with the dark side.
Yeah.
Now, if I was in SNK's shoes, I'd have done it right back out. I'm like, okay, we got Terry. You did that. We're gonna put Terry in the game just like that. We're gonna call him Dark Wolf.
Yeah, Dark Wolf. Yeah. I mean, they did play around with it. Now there is one game from 1995, a fighting game that was in the arcade.
War Gods?
Nope, that's not it. But it was in the arcade, and I spent a lot of time at that arcade, and it actually lit into probably one of the more famous combo fighters, I guess you should say. It was the lead in to the Marvel versus Capcom, and that is X-Men versus Street Fighter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That game, I don't know why they didn't make another one. Now
that was
you
Marvel
could say
Superheroes versus Street Fighter.
Yeah, you could say
that was hilarious.
But I didn't want that. I wanted I'm sorry.
You wanted the exclusive X-Men Street Fighter.
I wanted the exclusive X-Men Street Fighter fight, which I hope they would, I mean, Microsoft, y'all got money, put it on Game Pass. Y'all got money, put it on Game Pass.
The original game was just Marvel Superheroes.
Yeah,
and that that had my favorite
hold on.
Psylocke in there.
There's a step before that. X-Men Children of the Atom.
True, Children of the Atom.
Children of the Atom. But I did like the X-Men vs. Street Fighter game because Storm was the truth in that game.
Yeah.
Dude, Storm was the truth in that game. Storm and Wolverine. Cyclops but
Cyclops was good for combos if you knew how to use him. He was great for combos.
Yeah. But the best character in that game was hands down Storm. Hands down.
We got any fans of the original Marvel versus Capcom? Any? Because it was a little bit slower, but Mega Man was
Gambit.
Nice.
Gambit and
Gambit's my go-to.
Gambit and Strider was one of my teams.
Oh, Strider,
Actually, Strider was my main character to use in that game with everybody. I teamed in with everyone.
Yeah, Strider was dope, but I would always use Gambit because Gambit had that 90. What was it called? The
Royal Flash.
Card pickup. No, it was the 52 card pickup.
Oh, that's the one where he just kind of stands in place. And
I thought that was Royal Flush. That's what he says.
Well, the name of the move when because
I thought that was the one you're talking about. I thought it was when he jumps to the corner, throws the cards down, and it blows up across.
Not down.
Not that one.
He throws them out.
It's when he stands in place.
Yeah, he throws them out. So Gambit was always my go-to, but Wolverine, that drill claw.
That was a cheap.
I love
Yeah.
it. That's a little cheap move, but I love it.
That's
Yeah.
like Storm's
It
lightning
was-
attack. Both of those
Hit 2 buttons, go.
cheese.
Yeah.
It was cheap, but it was effective.
Yep, because that's why, like on 2, I use him, Gambit, and then I'll get Cable. Because Cable
Yeah.
will be across the screen, just shoot.
Yeah.
We
I love
got Sega Saturn love in the chat. Yeah, that's,
see.
Oh yeah, Alpha
man.
2
I
on
gotta
Saturn.
I gotta
still
start back
got it.
collecting, man.
I hate
don't
I had
have
never got a chance to play Saturn. Like I never got a chance to get one.
so many.
I had a
classic-
Sega CD. That was my last Sega thing, was Sega CD, and then it was and
If-
Dreamcast.
If
about
Sega
it.
was not dumb, if Sega of America was not dumb, and they would have localized all of those games from Japan, Saturn would have done way better here.
Yeah, it would have. It
So-
really would have.
That
You
white one
need-
looks clean too.
You need the expansion pack for it. I think it was 8 megabyte
action
cartridge that sat in the
replay.
back. Yeah,
Action replay 4 megabytes.
Yeah.
or
So
action
you
yeah.
can
replay will
play
take place.
any Japanese games that you
So
want.
I'm wondering if because I don't know who has the license to all those X-Men games, but I would love for somebody to like either throw them on a collection or something like they did with the Samurai Showdown stuff.
Well,
like
Well,
throw
it'll
them
be
on the
all
collection.
Disney now.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
yeah,
Disney.
that would
You
be
gotta
all
go
Disney.
through Disney now.
As far as
Well-
the license
Well, who had
owners,
the-
that'd be Disney. But the
Okay,
gaming
'cause-
side, a lot of that was
Yeah.
Capcom.
I'm gonna say because the one and then I know after Capcom wasn't it Activision, because I know
It was-
Activision had the X-Men license for a
was-
while.
It went around. It depended
It
on
went
what the
around a while.
franchise was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Depending on the type of game, because there was Acclaim back in the day had plenty of
Yeah,
them.
Mhm.
that is true. Yeah.
LJN had a bunch of them. That license got spread around.
Yeah.
Sega even
Fast
had-
Yeah,
around.
'cause, well, you
even
gotta
had
remember
games for that license.
in the late '80s and pretty much all through the '90s, X-Men was the shit. Like
Yeah.
you were guaranteed to make bank if you had X-Men anything on
Yep.
comics. Cause hell, the Fox animated series still holds up.
Yes,
it does.
First 4 seasons, not the last
was-
one. The first
that
4
was the
Last one
best.
was off.
yeah.
the Phoenix Saga is probably the best told
So yeah,
of anything.
Both-
None of the movies come close.
yeah.
Mhm.
Both of those. I'm talking about the first 5 episodes and the next season where they did the next 4 for Dark Phoenix was
Yeah.
hands down. 'Cause I remember Fox showed that prime time the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
week. That
Yeah, they were not
wasn't
playing
on
around.
Saturday. It was prime time when they first showed the first Phoenix.
You
Saga,
about
it
to
was
watch this
prime time.
tonight.
I will never forget that because I'm like, because my mom was like, "What is this coming on?" I'm like, "Oh, X-Men's on during the week." I
Yeah.
was like, "This
Yeah.
will be Saturday." I'm like, stayed and watched the whole thing. They showed all 5 parts. of
See,
the original.
my mom was a big X-Men fan, so I wake up on Saturday morning. She don't already start watching it without me. I'm like, you
Yeah.
want to wake me up? Like, what you doing? What's going on?
You know what time it came on?
Yeah, she's a big fan of that. Didn't read none of the comics, but she loved the cartoon.
Yeah.
And she catch me reading comics like, which one is that? And she wouldn't read it or anything, but she just wanted to know what was going on. So
Right.
And
Yeah.
and I'll say this in closing with the whole X-Men thing is like, if I'm glad Disney Plus got it on there because a lot of those episodes still hold up.
yes,
I'm just gonna say that a lot of it still holds up.
a lot of them are definitely relevant with the content as well.
Oh yeah, oh,
Very
yeah.
relevant. Stan Lee is a genius.
Yes.
And we'll just leave it at that.
Yes.
we'll just leave it at that.
Literally George Orwell in comics.
Yeah. So, all right, people. I hope you guys enjoyed our little Fight Club genre love type vid because we're gonna try to do these as when we can, when there's not nothing crazy happening in the gaming space. Try to do a little genre love since I'm noticing that a lot of people don't ever talk about the games they play. So
Yeah.
we might as well start doing that here. Yeah. So it's trying to stay off the whole.
They don't
thing,
talk
so-
about the games they play, just the stats that they can find.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I thought it'd be a good idea to
Specmasters.
just hit on some different genres. So if all goes according to plan, next week we'll hit y'all up with another genre. I do know we got Gamescom, the Gamescom next week, but I think it starts Wednesday, but I don't know how long it's lasting. So we'll probably just do a actual recap on Sunday because I don't have a schedule for that. They didn't put a schedule out for that. So I'm telling y'all ahead of time, so I don't know when that thing's gonna kick off or not. I know they have like something called Opening Night Live,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't say what day. I just know it's Wednesday. And the only reason
Mr.
I know
Keeley ain't
it's,
said nothing, right?
yeah, and the only reason why I know it's Wednesday is because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge is supposed to be there, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So, yeah, so we'll probably talk about that next Sunday. But not Andre, Shadow, anything you want to pimp out?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to disrespect you guys last week, but I was on the Weapon Wheel podcast last week.
I
If
saw
you guys
that.
want to go,
Traitor.
go check that out.
Traitor.
You can watch me
Traitor.
wreck shop in
It
there
was
and make people cry.
hilarious. It was so hilarious.
But it was great. Shout out to Blandrew for hosting that. That was his first time hosting, and it did not seem like his first time hosting. He did a great job there. So shout out to him. I'm definitely going to invite him on the Shadowcast at some point. And I'll reach out to him if you want to have him on this podcast as well. Sure. So we can have him down. He's the lone Nintendo gamer on that podcast. So he needs help from time to time there.
He be getting burnt over there, man.
You're dealing with Bun and all them other folks over there. So he needs a little bit of help there. So but shout out to him for having me on that. And another thing, because after that podcast, a lot of people came to me and they're like, "Oh, you're not playing on the PS5. You're not playing." Like, MLB The Show is playing. I have multiple rooms in a house. I have consoles in different rooms in my house. I don't just have them sitting under one TV or one monitor or one desk. I have a PS4 sitting next to this desk right now, and when I'm not doing a podcast like this, I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima. And when I'm not, and I'm not gonna play it on my PS5 because MLB The Show is playing upstairs. And in my loft upstairs, Xbox Series X, my PS3 is still on, and it still gets updates. Believe it or not, it's crazy.
Yeah, it does.
And I got Nintendo Switch docks in every room of the house. So you'll see me playing Fire Emblem. You'll see me playing MLB The Show. You'll see me playing Ghost. You'll see me. Hell, I think last week I played Infamous again. Like just everything, bro. Everything and mad GameCube games. Like I'm just going through tons of them. So yeah, I'm not. Let's put it like this: I'm not stuck in one room in the house playing games like some people are forced to. So I have a console in each room, and once I gotta hook my Dreamcast back up and my Nintendo 64 right here.
Hey man, why you had to bring up Dreamcast? You know mine died.
I'm about to say,
really?
Mine finally died. It finally died.
What died? Just the disc drive?
Yeah, it's gone.
The disc drive. Oh.
Yeah.
Do an SD card mod.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well. There's no point in buying another motor for the CD-ROM. Just go ahead and put an SD card mod in there. You just load whatever you want on there and go from there. I know that sounds whatever, but if you own all the games anyway,
it's still gonna run on the hardware the way it would normally run.
Yeah, it's still gonna run exactly the same. It won't be too much of a difference.
I actually been thinking about doing that to mine because I have an older Dreamcast, but
and the images aren't that old for a lot of those games are well under 1 gig, so you can play a lot of them that way. So
it's just funny because it finally gave up the Ghost. We had a little service for it and everything. You know.
Yeah, they had a good old detail for them. I feel you. Man, I'm still trying to figure out.
Put it on the respirator, breathe some new life into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you can always breathe. I resurrected my my launch Xbox 360 Premium. It's still sitting here after multiple chip replacements. It still sent me back the same serial number with different board stuff on it. So I keep that thing. It overheats like hell, and it barely want to work with the case on. But it works. So, I mean,
all right, cool. Jack, what you got on tap?
Absolutely nothing. I am moving this week, so I am disconnected until Sunday. So I mean that pretty much will be the gist for me until next week. As much as I agree with you, Wilton, about me missing out on Saturn, but from what I've heard from other people as far as collecting, that ain't gonna ever happen unless I'm emulating. Yeah, that just never happen.
This is one of those few situations I would say it's best to just go ahead and find the ROMs or the ISOs and play them.
Which is cool. I would like to use the controller though, because every time I see the controller,
you can get the USB controller that's the same shape as Saturn controllers.
Okay. Now, I will say, depending on what town you are in, there are secondhand shops and the book shops and whatnot that have the games on hand. You just have to look, and they have no idea how valuable some of these games are. So I saw a sealed copy of Wario World, and I was like, okay, y'all don't know what y'all doing around here. I will just take this off your hands so I don't pay $300 for it. Right. And it's just wherever you look, just go to like different little game shops or whatever and see what you can find. Obviously you won't find the console there. But you may because there's I found a 3DO. So like you can Yeah, with the box and everything was there. I didn't want to part paying $400 for it, but I mean, I miss my old one, and yeah, I do want to go back to playing Daedalus Encounter, I guess, or whatever I want to play on there. Yeah. And that version of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which was good. But go ahead, Jack. I'm sorry, I mean
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, I don't have much going on outside the gaming front. The music is kind of where it's at right now. But yeah, I should be back up and running on the channel next week, for sure. Whenever I get internet transferred over, electricity, all that lovely fun stuff here in expensive ass Florida. So we shall see.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I was just going to do mine since we lost Andre for a little bit.
Oh yeah, baby Andre was like, you need to go ahead and handle me now. I don't have time for this.
Okay. So I got my game cap to work for a little bit last night, and I was able to actually record some biking gameplay for Sam Show. So that will be on my gaming channel. That's gonna go live tomorrow. I did do a couple podcasts today. One for Master of the Universe Revelation with our good buddy Brandon Poole, and I did another one this morning for What If episodes 1 and 2. If y'all want to check that out, full on reviews, spoiler field. So if you haven't watched it, that's not my concern. The other thing too, I do want to say I still plan on doing the Monster Hunter Stories 2. The only thing is I gotta finagle my game cap to work properly because for some reason it wouldn't play sound yesterday. So that's why I couldn't do the Black Panther War for Wakanda gameplay again that I wanted to live stream last night, or the Let's Talk Live for Monster Hunter Stories. I don't know what's going on with that, but I'm gonna do some looking around and see what's going on. I know I need to upgrade it. I just can't right now. So that'll be that. Other than that, I think that's all I'm gonna have for this week. Unless something crazy happens, I may go on and do another book review this week too, because I got a couple of books I do want to talk about. So I may do that Wednesday. But other than that, that's probably going to be it. I don't know if we're going to get Andre back. So we're going to stop it here for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed it. But before I go, for my wrestling fans, I just want y'all to know one thing. CM Punk, the AEW confirmed. Shout out to Wrestle Talk. CM Punk, the AEW confirmed. That's all.
Larry need to head over there too, based off of that SummerSlam situation. She need to head that way too.
Yeah. We ain't gonna talk about how dirty they did Bianca, but yeah.
Bianca and Sasha need to go too.
Yeah, CM Punk debuted at Rampage.
That was crazy.
Week, and now I need him in. I know who I'm playing with when the AEW game drops.
Oh yeah, they can go ahead and toss him in there now. Yep, I'm pretty sure they already knew he was coming, so yeah, go ahead and get him in there.
Go and get him in there. So yeah. All right, Andre's back. Andre, anything you want to flip out?
I mean, I don't really have much on my channel this week other than my little Smash wrestling game idea. If anybody's interested in that, which I don't know why Nintendo won't go with it. It would make them so much money.
There's a lot of things that will make Nintendo that they just choose not to do.
Yeah,
man.
But this one, I'm like, this one makes a lot of sense. So why not attempt it?
And you already got Pikachu Libre. You can already do a
exactly
Stone Cold Stunner. I mean,
yeah, that's my favorite. Even though his arm can't get around nothing, it's just, I'm here.
It just happens.
You got Pikachu Libre. You also have freaking Incineroar.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would love to do a Stone Cold Stunner on. I would love for Pikachu Libre to do a Stone Cold Stunner on Incineroar.
Favorite move, man. Favorite move. You got
poker tournament. Right I need a poker tournament too.
it's right there on the table. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not doing nothing with Tekken right now, so
yeah. I need my champ to do a rock bottom and a people's elbow.
Can we just have Nintendo buy? Can they just buy Aki, and then we could just have Fire Pro, just make that a Nintendo thing?
As much as I like Fire Pro, I feel like they need to change that engine up, because it's still kind of difficult to fight in Fire Pro because they still got that little angle that I don't care for. Now the customization is crazy, but other than that, I just need them to change the camera, the fighting style of Fire Pro. But yeah, keep all the customization. Yeah, that they'll make a killing with Fire Pro.
And so, I say all that to say this: Orange Cassidy versus CM Punk. But we will see you guys next week on the Wingin Podcast. Thank you for joining. Leave a like, share, subscribe, all the other good stuff. Tell your friends, family, all the other good stuff. We appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for everybody that showed up in the chat. Thank you. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.